Hi Soul Fam, how are you? Wanted to share in this video a few thoughts that may assist you, help you, given the recent events that have transpired on our collective reality here on this planet. And the first is I want to share an experience that I had in dream state before I went to bed after all this initial things have happened with regards to wars and killings and people dying. I had asked my guides and my higher self to show me what was going on, right? And the experience that I received in my dream state was vastly different than what I had anticipated going into the dream. And what it was me being in an experience, basically sharing my story around the idea of my daughter and I, and what my awareness was around this experience, especially with the idea that when my daughter has a meltdown and screams, and how I get triggered by that and how it makes me feel, and coming to the awareness that the reason why that happens is because as a child, I was not allowed to have an emotional reaction that my daughter had. I wasn't allowed to feel angry or to cry out or whatever, because if I did, I would have gotten beaten for it by my father. And so in the place of or being or state of being of where I wasn't aware of that, I would have initially reacted through anger and control, and would have in some manner squashed my daughter's own ability to validate her own emotions, and then attack her, even though she is my own child, in my own intimate inner circle, if you will. I saw myself as separate. I disconnected and would have attacked her as something that anybody else would attack anybody else out there, right? I would attack, I would fight, I would be angry, and it's certainly not the state of being or path or energy that's suited for the best of us or for either one of our highest goods going forward. So it was a vastly different experience than what I had initially thought going into the dream, and it's taken me some time to figure out why this was presented to me in this manner. And I think it's the idea that from my own personal self, when we take this and we extrapolate this out to the collective experience, what we are getting is an initial reaction, which we are kind of on autopilot, reacting to something and scapegoating it onto whatever said thing it is that is triggering us. And it is thrust upon us individually to look further than just what is the emotional reaction to this, to truly understand what is driving us to feel these things and to have these beliefs around these things. It's far more complex than what is the surface level aspect to this event that we're having, as well as many other events that has happened in our past. And yet here we are again. And I think what I'm trying to share with you is that before you go out and do and react and create with whatever energy that you are looking to create with, it is thrust upon you to understand and bring awareness to why it is that you are being presented this, and why it is that you are reacting and creating in whatever said manner that you were planning on creating. Otherwise, what happens is that many of us will get drawn into, or rather, that's not drawn into, rather focus our energies into creating timelines or co-creating experiences that allow us to be hijacked into agendas around fear and separation. And that leads to literally us saying we want to murder or kill or harm another being, even though we may not be directly or indirectly impacted by it. I think that from my own inner experience of what I'm trying to share with you is that there's far more than what you think is happening, and you have to look really, you have to be honest with yourself and truly inquire about why it is that this is being presented in your reality, so that you can have the awareness, such as myself, of when these things occur, that I can choose differently than what would have been the normal course of my unaware self with regards to these situations. I can choose to see that I understand why this pattern happens. I understand my choice in this, and because of my awareness, I can choose differently. One that is far more compassionate and opening and understanding than my emotional reactive state because of my unwillingness to see what is actually driving that energy in my experience. I hope that kind of makes sense, that this experience that I had can be extrapolated to the collective, in that before you go doing things, look and try to understand deeply within you before you go through the surface level automated aspect to you of where you are unaware, and it allows you to be manipulated in a sense to more separation, more agendas around fear, etc., to lead you into a path that isn't for your highest good. The second thing I'll say is that, for the October energy update, I had said something around the idea of one of the themes as being lovers unite. And that being that those that are willing to work together to find love through whatever conflict that comes up in their relationships, in their experience with another person, those that are willing to hear each other out and to work with each other, to communicate, to get through whatever conflict or resistance is happening in their life, will end up far stronger and committed and more connected than ever. And I think this also applies from a more collective standpoint too, especially with those on the opposite ends of your views, if you will. If this is you, find love. Find a way to get a perspective where there's love involved into it that allows you to open up and reconnect in some way so that you can find love, even though you don't think that it's there. Sometimes it requires us to step out of our human container, to look farther above than what we see as a granular perspective as a human, and that's where we can see the love. But it's there. That love is there. And if you can find it, if you can work with it, if you can reconnect and work with your other relationships or other co-creators through this conflict, and you will find that sometimes it creates a better bond and a better connection that could ultimately lead to more peace and harmony, and a stronger bond. I think that's a very powerful thing. This is going to be extremely powerful too with regards to the solar eclipse coming here on the 14th. The solar eclipse happening in the US is in Libra. This is really going to bring out the hidden stuff around your relationships and those that you have relationships with, whether it be individually, in your intimate circle, or a little bit broader with, say, work relationships or friendships, or even groups of people, and collectively, I would say groups of people, right? We are going to have to look at the hidden stuff around this, especially around the ideas of what we've committed to, what our commitments are to those relationships, and what we've said that we were going to commit to, and what compromises and what imbalanced energies are being brought up for us to renegotiate, rehash up, rediscuss, and to use a bit of diplomacy to find balance yet again. Where have you compromised your own self to the relationship, to this group that no longer fits your energy, that brings up so much resistance? Where do you need to adjust your boundaries, your commitments, your way of being within that state of being within that relationship, that group, to renegotiate so that you can find that place of more balance, love, and connection? What commitments no longer serve you that you have committed to in these relationships that are being brought up that no longer serve you? So that means you're going to have to look at, as you go through this time frame, what relationships do you have that are causing a lot of friction? And you'll notice as of right now, the geopolitical landscape, the cultural differences that are coming up, and we are being asked to pay attention to it, especially with regards to my expansion of what I experienced in my dream. How are these experiences and things are coming up? What is the underlying truth behind it? And asking you to, and actually require you to look at the underlying reasons. Why? Have courage to look at that and then to negotiate that and bring that awareness so that you see a pattern, you understand it, and you can choose differently as you go forward. And that may, in the end, with regards to your other relationships, create a stronger bond and love that hopefully brings all of us to a higher level as we go forward. I don't know if any of that makes sense. I was trying to figure out if there was a connection. It seemed like there is between my dreams, the lovers uniting energy theme in regards to my October energy update, but also the solar eclipse that's coming through right about now here in the US. I love you. Many blessings to all you soul families, you star seeds out there. And if you guys have any questions, reach out to me.